the TUV. Jim Allister, do you see it as an initiative to strengthen the union?
Well, I think, yes, with a degree of scepticism in the timing, because obviously it is linked to the Scottish and Welsh elections. But, I think it is but right that any nation should wish to always strengthen its position and strengthen its component parts. And there are some very welcome aspects here. For example, the declaration that 22,000 jobs, of government jobs presently in London and the South East will be dispersed around the regions. I don't know how many that means for Northern Ireland, but it means some. That's good. The fact that there's going to be a council to better coordinate actions between government centrally and devolved institutions is good. I suppose the glaring and fundamental problem I have is the base contradiction between the assertion that we're in the business of strengthening the union, while the same government at the same time is sustaining the union dividing protocol and putting a border down the Irish Sea. You cannot strengthen the union by dividing it and partitioning it, and you cannot strengthen the union by putting a part of the United Kingdom, namely Northern Ireland, into vassalage with the EU and making it subject to laws that aren't made either in Belfast or London, but are made in a foreign jurisdiction in Brussels. So I think the government needs to come to grips with that glaring contradiction. And if it's in the business of strengthening the union, good. And if it is, then of course it will move to getting rid of the protocol, because it is a weakening and dividing of the union. And that's the fundamental issue that's staring the government in the face.
This review was never going to make reference to that because it has been around for such a long time.
Yes, this review has been around since 2019, but only published last night. And in fact, I suppose the more important document was the 6-page letter of response from Michael Gove, saying what the government's going to do. For example, the review recommended the Secretary of State for Intergovernmental and Constitutional Affairs, a key office of state akin to the Chancellor or the Home Secretary. It looks to me from reading Gove's letter, the government isn't going with that. So it's not so much what's in the review, it's what the government is actually going to pick up and run with. And I think the moves on the civil service, the extra secondments between the various civil servants, the shared funding, shared prosperity fund, the community renewal fund, which will apply across the United Kingdom. I think those are all good things, and I think the branding that goes with it is good. I think it's important, since we all are UK taxpayers, that we know and understand better where our taxes are spent, and that we in the regions regions are all subsidised, should be appreciative and acknowledge that, and I don't think that should be hidden from us.
And do you think the government at present is more fearful of the lack of strength of the union than it's ever been in the recent past?
Well, I think the government obviously should, and I'm sure is concerned about trends in Scotland, and I'm sure that measures such as are encompassed in this report have that in mind. But I repeat the point, if they're really concerned about the strength of the union and the unity of the Union Kingdom and the border down the Irish Sea, and leaves us in a state of vassalage to Brussels, I think they need to decide where they are. If they're really in the business of strengthening the union, then they shouldn't be weakening it by the protocol.
Now, do you feel, that's your mantra all the time, understandably considering the political position from which you come, but do you feel that anyone's listening to that at Westminster level?
Well, I think the government is somewhat disconcerted with the inherent contradiction between professing a desire to strengthen the union while at the same time weakening it through the protocol. I think there is some pressure. I think there's some manifestations even within the Conservative Party of that. But of course, it is my hope that they'll be given no option but to listen when ultimately I trust the Supreme Court, courtesy of judicial review with which I and others are involved, will bring home very strongly that the union is a union based on the Acts of Union of 1800, and it expressly provides that you cannot differentiate and put borders within the United Kingdom when it comes to trade, and yet that's exactly what the protocol does.
And in the meantime, should we play up or play down the issue with the flag? Because it will be flying, as recommended, that it will be flying on all government buildings in England, Scotland and Wales. But obviously that's not possible because of the law here in Northern Ireland.
Well, just let me deal with that. The government, in making that announcement, said that the purpose of flying the flag was to be a proud reminder of our history and the ties that bind us. So the flying of the flag, which is the flag of our nation, from which we all benefit being a part of, is flying as a symbol of the ties that bind us. Well, why not in Northern Ireland? Because when we moved into this scenario where there was reduction in the flying of the flag, courtesy of designated days, the justification for that was that brought us into line with GB. It was a question of parity, and indeed the New Decade, New Approach underlined that in flag flying there would be parity in that regard. Well, if the rules have now changed and the parity scene has now changed, and the flag in GB is to fly every day, why, if we're tied on parity on that, would it not apply in Northern Ireland? I don't see why it shouldn't, and therefore I'm calling that it should, because if the issue of justified taking down the flag to only designated days was parity, and now the flag is to be up every day, then that same parity should apply in Northern Ireland.
You probably feel deep down, however, you'll lose that argument that the flag won't be on government buildings in Northern Ireland every single day of the year, considering where we are and where we've been with that.
Well, I don't know what you mean by considering where we are. It should be. I don't meet anyone who's a resident of Northern Ireland who doesn't want to have in their wallet a British money with a British crown and looks for as much of it as they can, and seeks to get out of the deep pockets of the United Kingdom as much as they can. So, if we're benefiting from that, if we're benefiting from the British free National Health Service, and my goodness, in COVID we've seen that, and if we're benefiting from being part in the vaccinations of a lead nation in the world on vaccination, why should we not wish to demonstrate that those benefits that come to us under the flag that flies within the United Kingdom? Either we're part of the United Kingdom or we're not, and if we are, then the flag of the United Kingdom should fly here unfettered.
Do you sense that there is a will within those who you represent to protest again about this or not? Because it was a protest that in the end was lost.
Well, I'm not. I don't think I've mentioned protest whatsoever. I'm saying that logically and properly, if parity is the touchstone for this, and was the touchstone for taking down the flag from 365, and now 365 is to be the parity principle in GB, then why should it not apply here? I'm simply saying, if you wanted it, if you relied on parity one way, why not the other way? And I think that is the logical position.
Okay, Jim Allister, thanks for putting your pitch to us this morning. Your opinion?